Sources familiar with it say these tapes were not isolated incidents, and the use of the racial epithet multiple times was not isolated. So he's been suspended indefinitely for conduct detrimental to the team. And I was listening to some of the players were quoted as saying, like, he's not the kind of guy who's going to be missed.
No, really? Well, he's a dick.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look at him. I mean,
well, what do you expect?
He just looked like that. Like he's that kid from junior high. He was always an asshole.
Yeah.
And never grew out of it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to hang out with him. I don't even know him.
Yeah, I don't. It's weird a 300-and-something pound guy being bullied. But
that's my whole thing.
One of them's 310 and one of them's 312.
All right, that's 30-something. That's a
Depends
if he has dessert or not.
He's a big motherfucker to be bullied. But that guy Richie sounds like a dick, and fuck him, he's not on the Rams anymore. Yeah. On the other hand, there's still something, and I suspect it's like you can bully your roommate all you want. When they jump off the George Washington Bridge, there's something going on with them. There just is.
Yeah.
And it's a combination of both. Like, people go, well, what got him to jump off the bridge? Well, people go bullying. But there's no amount of bullying that would get you to jump off the bridge.
Yeah.
So we would be short-sighted and not really doing our job as a society if all we did was look at one part of the equation. So you take Richie Incognito and you boot him off the team for being a dick and generally disliked, unless he really produces on the field.
Yeah, unless he pancake blocks the
if he
fuck out of those
pancake blocks
tackles.
and he has no sacks, he doesn't give it up a sack.
Yeah,
then you keep him around. But if not, you cut him because he's a dick, and then you take a look at the other guy and you go, what's up?
Yeah.
Because football is filled with bullies.
Yeah.
It's a game where you, as I've said before, intentionally bully.
Exactly.
You try to impose your will. If you look at...
That's what I said to Brian before the show started. I was like, you know who we really need to look at is Martin.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me? You sent that, whatever, the voicemail, whatever it is. I mean, obviously...
Harvey Martin?
Yeah, Harvey Martin. Obviously, Richie didn't have a problem with leaving that voicemail, which means they've had conversation like that before. Plus, it's a locker room.
Everybody in football is... These are... First off, it's the cream of the crop
of disgusting men.
Bullies.
Yeah.
And they started off in junior high.
Yeah.
And you guys, see, everyone has this thing, and it's a movie thing, it's a Hollywood thing, where the bullies go after the nerds. Oh, contraire. No. The bullies bully the bullies.
Yeah.
It's called alpha male, not alpha and nerd male. They go after each other. Yeah. Once they get to the top of the sort of food chain, it's like anything else in the animal kingdom.
The rams bat their rams because
they got
no pun
from the
intended.
Rams. Right.
The mountain goats, you know what I'm saying?
Right, they go at it with the second guy who's wanting to fuck all the sheep up on the mountain.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the alpha males go at it. Like when I played football, it was my buddy Ray Oldhofer against a guy named Garrett, and they're both alpha males, and those are the guys. They didn't bother with the nerds. They bothered with each other. And then they say shitty things to each other, and then they just sort of move along in their career. And as you go from high school to college, from college to pros, you weed out the non-alpha guys, and then when you get to the pros, a bunch of bullies. Yeah. If you watch a game, you just mic these guys up, and a guy comes across the middle and the free safety just lights him up and the guy ends up on his back, probably concussed. Yeah. He stands over the guy's body and yells, "Take that shit home." Like the dude's literally concussed, laying on the ground. Sometimes his helmet went flying off. Other times the guy's just fucking tore his ACL or he's laying there bent weird. Yeah. And the guy is, I will guarantee you, for almost every injury that requires you being strapped to a gurney and being taken out on an ambulance, for at least 3 seconds, there was a dude standing over you, looking down and pointing at you like, I just fucked your shit up.
So do you believe he really felt, like, actually threatened?
No, I don't.
No.
So he just wanted off the team?
He just,
No, here's the thing.
Let's not dismiss the fact that Richie's a dick, right? You've already said that earlier. But
these teams are filled with dicks.
They're all dicks. You know what I mean? And like I was telling Brian in the back, it's like that's how they talk to each other in the locker room. My friend used to play for the Raiders behind George. He was behind George.
Jeff George.
And he was I mean, you should have heard this guy's mouth. You know what I mean? Like that's just how he is. He's just a pig. He's just
right.
You know
and
what I mean?
And one guy, I mean,
but he thinks it's normal. That's how they talk to each other. Like that's
how they interact. I mean, when a guy, first thing, if a guy gets lit up, I mean, just cleaned out. Like if it's a situation where a guy's chasing a sweep and some guy cracks back on him and just takes him right off, takes him out of his cleats. Everyone in the film room is just like, woo! Yeah. I mean, they just go nuts.
Helmet
animals.
stickers if you're in college. I mean, it's
Yeah, that's just that's the sport. That's the mentality. So Richie is an asshole.
Yes.
And then the other guy has something going on psychologically where he jumped off a bridge. Essentially, he didn't jump off a bridge, but I mean,
he did it publicly.
It's two components. There's this and that because the Richie Incognito part, that's a constant.
Yeah.
That's always there. So if you're a scientist, you go, well, why doesn't the entire team quit? But when only one guy quit, and Incognito's been in the league for 6 years or something.
I would have had more respect for Martin if he didn't submit that voicemail. If he would have just went public and just went, look, I'm having problems with this dude, and if he doesn't stop, I'm going to kick his fucking ass.
Yeah,
then you know there's a problem between the two players.
Yeah, but
he
could be intimidated by him.
How?
I have a little
How
bit.
is that possible?
He wants to shit in his fucking mouth.
That's the insight.
I have a little bit of insight to this, actually. You know, for 2 years, I coached high school football here in L.A. I won't say the name of the school, but it was 2 really good years. I enjoyed it. I liked everyone I worked with. I loved the kids I coached with. It was a lot of fun. I coached high school assistant coach for high school football. This kid went to that high school, and he was
which
one?
Martin.
Oh, really?
Martin went to that high school, and he was only a year, maybe 2 behind me when I finished coaching there. So I was very familiar with the culture that he was coached in.
Say it.
No, I will not say the name of the school.
Oh, well, then just say what you're...
Huge pussies. huge pussies at that school.
So was it a public school or
it's a very
lily white private school?
I'll give you an example. The first day I was hired, a very wealthy private school, they baby their kids to a weird extent. I was pulled aside by the athletic director at the time and said, this is a different place you're going to coach at now. It's not uncommon for a parent to come into practice and take their kid out because they have to study for a midterm or they have to practice for a violin final or take a Latin test tomorrow. It's like parents will come and take kids out of practice because they have to study. And maybe that's a good evolved thing. But in the world of football, that never happens. That's a very strange thing.
Yeah, no, it's unheard of.
Yeah.
I mean, not where I went.
And we were heavily discouraged from cursing at the kids. Like, it wasn't not allowed, but we were. If I cursed at a kid and come on, you got to make that fucking block. I was pulled aside by the coach afterwards. Like,
wow.
That was interesting.
Curse at the kids, and the coach would often tell me to be. He was a great guy. I liked him, but he would tell be proscriptive, not prescriptive. Don't tell the kids not what to do. Tell them what to do. They were huge, massive pussies.
Yeah.
And I liked the kids, but they had no business playing football. And I thought to myself, it's a good thing none of these kids are any good and they're not going to play any college football because they're going to learn a very hard lesson.
Archie Bell led the league, by the way, in rushing that year when Brian was coaching.
Yeah. He's no longer with us.
He said be proscriptive, not prescriptive, and you knew what he meant?
Oh, my God.
I'd be like, hang on 1 minute.
That's the kind of school it was.
Over the counter versus stuff you need a note for?
My point is, great school, good kids, good coaches, but they coddled them so much that you know how when you hear sometimes
uniforms were dry cleaned.
You hear, dude, they had home and away uniforms when a lot of the schools we played barely had a uniform. So you know, it was sometimes when you talk about things, you're like, what the hell does that mean? And then it all snaps into focus. Someone gives you a piece of information and it snaps into focus. That's it. As soon as I heard, he went to this high school, it's like, fucking A right, he went to the high school. I could have seen this coming.
I know the high school.
5 years away.
Expensive.
I feel like we can all go look up the high school.
Yeah, you could. I just don't want to say the name.
I think there's a big college that's named after it as well. Look, football is really it's bowling on bowling, and it's good because it just gets. I mean, at a certain level. And look, I'm not saying relentless emotional distress is a way to go through life, and this guy Richie,
it's a way to play the game.
Incognito's a dick, but. Oh, yeah. Listen, in football, if you can intimidate the other team, I mean, if you can scare the other team, if you can essentially beat them before the first kickoff, if you can scare the shit out of them. And good teams do that. And like I said, when they mic these guys up, they never stop celebrating when a guy's injured or concussed or whatever the hell it is. So anyway, Richie won't be missed, but you'll see later on that this fella will probably have something. And the cause celeb of bullying, I'm not a fan of bullying, but I am a fan of building up some calluses on your hands from working, because that's just life. What it is you use your hands, and if you don't ever use your hands, they become very tender to the touch, and everything's too hot or too cold or whatever. And what happens, whether you walk around barefoot or where you do a lot of blue-collar work and work in your hands, so you get calluses, and they build up in the right places, and you handle tools and material, and you don't wince when you touch it, and it just sort of helps. And that doesn't mean you have to grab things that are razor sharp or burning hot, but it just means it sort of helps if you're going to work with your hands. And I feel like there's an emotional component to that, or equivalency to that, which is it's good to have somebody telling you you're not so hot,